It all started when I was taken. Strangely, my family seemed almost okay with it. Turns out the guys who grabbed me messed up. They were after my younger sister, Sarah, but she got away and they ended up with me. When the police finally found me, I was a mess. I was hurt everywhere, but I didn't even flinch. I didn't cry, didn't yell, nothing. It was like something inside me just shut off. I didn't feel sad or scared or anything really. Honestly, it was almost better than before when everything used to make me upset. But my family, they didn't like it. Later, they kept asking me to go back to how I used to be. When I got out of the hospital and went home, the house was completely empty. No furniture, nobody there. I couldn't get a hold of anyone in my family. Finally, I called our old cook, Mrs. Davis, and she told me they had moved. I got the new address and went over there. I found them all sitting down for dinner like nothing had happened. Everyone looked a little uncomfortable when they saw me. "Why did you guys move without telling me?" I asked. My mom answered, all casual, like she was talking about the weather. "Well, Sarah's been having bad dreams about being taken. We thought maybe the old house was giving her bad vibes, so we moved." She paused, then added, "Sarah's more sensitive than you are, but you're here now. Sit down, have some dinner." The table was full of Sarah's favorite foods. My face was still all bandaged up, and I was walking with a limp, but nobody seemed to notice or care. I used to get really upset about stuff like that, but now I just didn't feel anything. It was like my emotions were gone. Sarah leaned over to me, acting all sweet. "I've been too afraid to go out, so I couldn't visit you at the hospital. Mom and Dad were worried I'd get taken too, so they stayed home with me. You're not upset with me, are you, Anna?" Before I could even answer, my dad jumped in. "It's no big deal. You're sisters. You should understand each other." I didn't even know what to say. I was the one who got taken. Sarah laughed a big, fake-sounding laugh. "Ha ha. I didn't want Anna to worry too much." She put a piece of shrimp on my plate. "But Anna's always been so tough and independent. I've always looked up to people who aren't afraid of anything." I quietly put my fork down. "I'm allergic to shrimp." Nobody at the table even remembered. My name is Anna. I was born on July 7th. My sister is Sarah. We're real sisters. Some fortune teller once said I had a bad destiny or something and that I shouldn't be raised by my parents. So they sent me to live with my grandma and grandpa in the country. They almost never came to see me. After my grandparents passed away, my parents finally brought me back home. I was so excited, but I quickly realized that this wasn't really my home. The day I was taken, Sarah insisted we take this shortcut through a really empty alley. Then, she said she needed to find a bathroom and told me to wait there. That's the last thing I remember before waking up and everything had changed. I'll never forget it. "Damn it, you're useless!" one of the guys who took me yelled, hitting me over and over. They thought I was Sarah. My family wouldn't pay to get me back, so the guys got nothing. They didn't give me food, and they hurt me for 3 whole days. I tried to scream, but my voice was gone. When the cops finally showed up, the guys were about to do even worse things to me. My eyes were blurry with blood, but I tried to look past them. None of my family was there. I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. The doctor said I had something called PTSD, and that's why I couldn't feel emotions anymore. They called it emotional numbness. Nobody came to see me in the hospital except for the police asking questions. Back at the dinner table, they just talked around me, laughing and acting like a happy family. I used to try to be part of those conversations, but this time, I didn't even try. "I'm finished," I said, wiping my hands with a napkin. "Where should I sleep?" My mom looked surprised, then she remembered. "Oh, we haven't set up the rooms yet." Sarah was quick to jump in, making it sound like I was being difficult, like she always did. "Anna, you can't blame Mom and Dad. They've been so busy." I asked, "Did I say I was blaming them?" I put the napkin down gently, my voice completely flat. "I'll just find an empty room. Enjoy your dinner." I slowly went upstairs and I could hear my parents talking. Where did she get that attitude from? "Sarah, don't worry about it. Here, I made your favorite soup." Sarah chimed in, "Maybe she's just scared." My mom disagreed. "What's she got to be scared of? She came back just fine, didn't she?" I closed the door, shutting out their conversation. Later, Mark came home. He's not really a Smith. Our parents adopted him. Sarah and I called him our brother. I used to wish I had an older brother to look out for me. Mark was everything I thought a good brother should be, except he only protected Sarah. To me, the new person taking his sister's attention, he was cold. He didn't even look at me when he walked in, like he was trying to make me feel unwelcome. I don't know how I was so blind back then. Even with his attitude, I'd try to be nice to him, giving him gifts. I used to be jealous of Sarah for getting all the love. But now, without those feelings, their behavior just seemed silly and fake. I was a little hungry. Mark noticed I hadn't said anything to him and gave me a second look. "Hey, your stuff." "I don't want it," I said. He handed me a nicely wrapped gift bag. I knew it was the birthday present I made for him, a jade necklace that I carved myself. I'd given him lots of things before, and he always gave them back in front of everyone. He and Sarah liked to make me feel bad like that. "Okay," I replied, not really paying attention. Even though dinner was ready, I wasn't hungry. It was all seafood, and I couldn't eat any of it. Just looking at it made my injuries hurt. Mark seemed surprised. Usually, I'd beg him to keep a gift. He probably thought this was some new way to try to get the family's attention. "Hey, Mark, what did Anna get you?" Sarah asked, eagerly unwrapping the gift. "Wow, a beautiful jade necklace. It looks like Anna put a lot of effort into this. You should just keep it, Mark." Mark frowned. "Keep it?" That would mean accepting her, the person who made Sarah cry so many times, making her feel insecure. "No way, I'm not keeping it. Take it back," he said firmly, looking at me. I was starving, and my stomach hurt from being empty. I was looking at the seafood on the table that I couldn't eat, just wanting to go out and get something else. As I stood up, Mark grabbed my wrist, thinking I was trying to avoid the issue. "Take your stuff and go." Sarah watched, smirking, probably expecting me to cry like I usually did. "Throw it away," I said. "What?" Nobody moved. I took the jade necklace and tossed it in the trash. I said, "If you don't want it, there, throw it away. I'm leaving." The table went silent. This version of me was new to them. I didn't care, and I left. Mark felt weird watching me walk away, like something he was used to controlling was slipping away. Sarah glanced at Mark, gripping her chopsticks tightly. I went out and got a good meal. When I got back home, my parents were waiting in the living room. "Come here, we need to talk," Dad said. I kind of knew what they were going to say. Since I came back, we'd barely talked, except when they wanted to set me up with someone. Rich families tend to stick together, and arranging marriages with other rich families is normal. They didn't want Sarah to do it since she and Mark had feelings for each other, so they'd put those plans off. But with me back, their problem was solved. The less liked daughter was perfect to be used. Anna, the youngest son of the Johnson family, is back from studying abroad. You two are around the same age. "Maybe you could meet up, have dinner, talk," Mom added. "We were really worried when you got hurt. If there's a guy to protect you, we'd feel better." I've always refused these setups. Rich kids often live wild, messy lives. My parents never really cared about my well-being, which used to hurt a lot. But now, whatever. If meeting him would get them off my back, fine. "Sure, when do I meet him?" Surprised by how quickly I agreed, their prepared speeches were useless. They both froze for a moment before Dad spoke up. "Tomorrow at noon at a restaurant owned by the Johnson family group. It's okay if nothing happens. They're not just any rich family." I nodded again. Silence fell. "Anything else?" "No, nothing else." I stood up and headed upstairs, quick and decisive. My parents exchanged a look, seeing complicated feelings in each other's eyes. "She's been acting strange. Hope she isn't planning something." "I'll have the butler watch her, make sure she doesn't cause trouble." "She'd do well to be half as sensible as Sarah." "How could she compare to the daughter we raised ourselves?" I chuckled lightly. "True, only Sarah is their real daughter." I met the guy, Jason, that afternoon. He was leaning against the car window, lighting a cigarette but not actually smoking it. He didn't like smoking, but he liked the image it gave him. After letting it burn out, he messed up his hair and got out of the car just as I was watching. He was a good-looking guy. He unbuttoned a couple of shirt buttons and slouched in a chair. Hey, are you Jason? I greeted him. Yeah, and you must be Anna. Jason hesitated. I heard you've turned down a lot of guys. I wouldn't say turned down. I've just never met them. He suddenly laughed. Well then, I'm honored. What's your take on arranged marriages, Anna? What's there to think? I'm just doing what my family wants. The kidnapping hadn't been talked about much, but Jason surely knew. He looked at me meaningfully. Anna, you're a lot like me. He raised his glass to toast. I pushed mine aside. No thanks, I'd rather eat first. Jason paused, then leaned on his elbow, chuckling softly. All right, let's eat then. I thought I'd meet some simple guy, but he turned out to be more complicated than I expected. After finishing the meal and saying goodbye to Jason, I got messages from my parents. They were thrilled. The Johnson family was impressed and wanted to get married quickly. I messed up. I just wanted to find a guy who would go along with things to keep my parents from setting me up on more dates. But now, I made things worse with Jason. I wasn't emotional, but clearly I should have been a bit more worried. Knowing the Johnsons really liked me made Sarah anxious. She thought she was better than me at everything, and Mark was always on her side. But if I actually married into the Johnsons, her feeling of being superior would disappear. When I got home, Mom and Dad were visibly stressed, not excited like they'd been in their messages. Sarah was sick. Mark, who was supposed to be traveling, canceled his flight to stay by her side. I asked why. I learned Sarah had been having nightmares. The house felt like a funeral, but really it was just a bit of bad sleep. I remember the day I got out of the hospital. It was like going from one extreme to the other. Anna, every time Sarah sees you, she thinks about almost being taken. She can't eat, can't sleep. If I remember right, I was the one who got taken. Should I be angry? I don't know, my heart feels calm. Just a painful throbbing in my head. But you're okay, right? Sarah's different. She's timid because she never went through anything like this. Maybe you should stay somewhere else for a bit, Mom chimed in. I glanced at the tightly shut door on the second floor, Sarah's room. It was like she was telling me no matter what, no matter how hard I try, Mom and Dad will always choose her, no matter what. Got it. I headed upstairs. Mom got worried. What are you doing? Sarah hasn't slept well for days. She finally fell asleep. Don't wake her up. I sighed, speaking lightly. Packing my stuff? Aren't I leaving? Mom opened her mouth but didn't say anything. I quickly came down with a suitcase. Not much to take. Same way I returned from the country, I leave today with those things. They've been packed away in the suitcase for a while. Everyone had different reactions, seeing how decisive I was. I have an apartment nearby you can stay at, Mark said, setting a key on the table while getting a drink of water. Mom and Dad seemed surprised. After all, Mark's the only one who never gave me a break in this house. Mark wasn't sure why he did it, but seeing my small figure alone with a little suitcase, he suddenly didn't want me to leave. But Sarah would be scared, so this seemed like a fair compromise. Don't mess with the stuff inside. Don't bring people over. No pets or plants either. And no need. I already booked a hotel, I interrupted. Mark looked a bit caught off guard, didn't expect me to refuse. If this were before the incident, I'd probably be overjoyed. But if this were before, Sarah wouldn't have used this excuse to get rid of me, and Mark wouldn't casually let me stay at his place. It's a puzzle that can't be solved. Mark visibly wasn't happy, thinking I'm being ungrateful. You sure know how to leave fast. I didn't react to his sarcasm, dragging the suitcase outside. Staring at the keys for a long time, Mark abruptly slammed them into a drawer. Sarah felt something was wrong. Everyone at home seemed distracted. Mark claimed he was working late, hadn't been home for days. And Mom and Dad, they'd sigh while eating. Mia, I feel bloated these days. Can you make that healthy porridge you usually do? Mom asked, rubbing her stomach. Ma'am, that wasn't me. Sarah tried to interrupt, but Mia spoke first. It was Miss Anna. She said I made it because she thought you wouldn't eat it otherwise. Mom's face shifted through several emotions before she finally spoke. Just make any porridge. I'm going to rest. Watching Mom leave, Sarah followed. Mia, insistent on learning how to make porridge, nearly blew up the kitchen in the process. That night, there was no porridge. Mom ended up ordering takeout, hardly touched it before heading upstairs. Mia shared everything with me, plus mom's favorite flowers, which I used to take care of. Sarah tried right after I left, and they all died. The tea Dad loved, turns out it was something I brought from the country and couldn't find anywhere else. Mia messaged me all these things. I knew she was trying to tell me my family needed me, but I didn't care. Why didn't they notice any of this when I was around? Now they miss me, but I don't want to do these things anymore. I'd still suggest therapy, the doctor told me. Your emotional responses, lack of interest, all these signs are concerning. Without intervention, it might develop into antisocial personality disorder. I looked him straight in the eye. Impressive, you know your stuff. Jason adjusted his glasses. I'm in a good mood, working seriously. I didn't expect to see him here for my follow-up. Maybe sensing my curiosity, Jason generously explained. This hospital belongs to my family. I nodded. Silence hung in the air. I thought for a moment, then spoke. I don't want therapy. As a doctor, I'll respect that decision, but as a friend, mind if I ask why? I wasn't sure what he meant by friend, but I didn't argue. I don't need all those emotions right now. They would just make things harder. All right. Jason scribbled on the diagnosis. All normal. His handwriting was elegant, similar to his aura. If you ever need help, just reach out to me. Thanks. Seeing Mark when I got back didn't surprise me. With the Smiths' resources, it wasn't impossible to find me. Anna, come home. Mom and Dad miss you. Mark got straight to the point. I'm not going back. Why? Mark seemed frustrated. Living in hotels isn't right. People might think our family's mistreating you. Aren't you? Mark seemed to realize something, and he didn't look too pleased. With no more words, I turned to grab some coffee across the street. Mark followed. I tried to shake him off, picking up my pace. Watch out! Before I could react, a car hit me head-on. Everything slowed down, and Sarah was driving, her face filled with hatred. I clearly saw her lips move, saying, Die? Mark was rushing towards me from the corner of my eye, then I blacked out. Mark caught up, only to find me lying in a pool of blood. He couldn't believe it. He looked at the person in his driver's seat. Pain engulfed him. How could it be Sarah? The surgery took 4 hours. Mark sat on the waiting bench, half of his body going numb. Mark, how is she? My parents rushed over. She's in surgery. I mean, how's Sarah? Mom's face was filled with anxiety. Mark suddenly doubted his ears. Sarah was the one who hit Anna, and you're asking about her? Your own daughter is still in the operating room. Sarah is my daughter, too. She's at the police station. Why didn't you go with Sarah to get her out? She's never been in a place like that before. I need to contact someone. Mark looked at his parents, worrying about Sarah. Memories flooded his mind. Tears fell unexpectedly. No wonder Anna didn't want to come back. Dad, Mom, Anna stayed in the countryside for 16 years and we never visited her. The day before she returned, Sarah suddenly got sick. She cried and said she was afraid we wouldn't love her anymore. We comforted her all night and missed picking Anna up. Later, Mom, when you went out to buy things for Anna, you found Sarah crying secretly, and you gave everything meant for Anna to her. Mom was puzzled. What exactly are you trying to say? Mark didn't reply, but mumbled to himself. How could I think Anna would take everything meant for Sarah? We couldn't even treat them equally. The surgery light went off. I was wheeled out with the anesthesia still wearing off. My mind was foggy. I don't know how much time passed, but when I woke up, Dad, Mom, and Mark were by my bedside. It was nothing like the last time I was in a hospital. I opened my mouth to call for Dad, but he spoke first. Anna, can you help Sarah? Sarah was taken back to the police station. She tried to flee after hitting me, and it was caught on camera. By law, she committed a traffic crime. Dad and Mom begged me to say I was trying to kill myself. That way Sarah wouldn't be in the wrong. The cold saline was flowing into my veins, sending chills through my body. You mean I got hit by your daughter and I still have to help get her off the hook? Mom quickly approached, holding my other hand, seemingly startled by my cold touch. I know it's unfair, but Sarah is still your sister. Once we get her back, you can scold her all you want, okay? I pulled my hand away, every joint in my body aching. Don't even think about it, Anna. Not only will I not speak for her, I'm going to press charges myself. Mom stood up abruptly. Anna, you dare. Why all the noise? The patient needs rest. Those not concerned, please leave. Mom and Dad left without turning back. Mark left one sentence behind. Don't mind what they said. You do what you need to. He hurried on after them. I noticed in his hand he was tightly holding onto a jade pendant. It was the one I threw away when Mark returned it on his birthday. The doctor approached me. Are you still in pain? Can you move? I snapped back. Is your hospital staff so short that the psychologist is handling the surgical ward? Jason removed his mask, revealing his handsome face. Wow, not even a thank you for helping you get rid of them? And you're giving me attitude? What's with that temper? He moved closer, examining my face for a moment. At least your face is okay. Looks like you've been through a lot. Just out of the hospital and now you're back in. Are you secretly in love with me, finding excuses to come back? Maybe you should see a doctor for that. You're warm-hearted caring about my health. He studied the medical chart for a while, then sighed. I knew my injuries weren't too severe, but getting hurt consecutively surely wasn't good for me. Get plenty of rest. Stay away from seafood and cold foods. So much trouble, I complained. Jason didn't reply, only gave me a woeful look. Me, Jason, what am I going to do with you? Me. It wasn't until he showed up with a thermos that night that I realized what he meant. I spent 2 days in the hospital, during which Jason brought me food 3 times a day. He said he was doing his duty to save lives. Your sister was charged. I sipped my soup. You really care about her? I overheard your parents that day. This morning, they got your sister out. I paused for a moment to remember, and then I got her back in. That took me by surprise. What? That's what us worthless guys do, spending a fortune to please the lady. I nearly forgot he was the young master of the Johnson family. The Smiths won't let her stay there for long. They'll find a way to get her out again. That's okay. I'll just put her back in. Jason said it lightly, like it was a game. Hey, when's the trial? Need me to find you a good lawyer? I have a lawyer. Doesn't seem like your guy is up to it. Really, I don't need any help. I stirred the soup, pondering. Noah, my lawyer, was an old friend of my grandparents. All right, if you ever need help, call me. I'm a guardian angel in white. I didn't respond to his attempt at humor. Jason wasn't an idiot. He must have his reasons for helping me. I voiced my suspicion. Jason's smile faded a little. Why do I need a motive? Can't I just help? I thought for a moment. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Does he seem disappointed? All right, I have my reasons. What do you want from me? I didn't like owing favors. Jason tidied up my empty dishes and winked at me. I'll tell you later. Soon, it was time for the court case about the accident. On Sarah's side, the Smith family showed up in full force, bringing along 2 lawyers. Quite the entourage. Me and Noah, my lawyer, felt a bit out of place next to them. After the court rules were read, it was time for the plaintiff's statement and the defendant's response. Sarah's lawyer confidently claimed I had suicidal tendencies. The plaintiff grew up in the countryside, distant from her parents, while my client has a great relationship with her family. The plaintiff tried to mend her ties with the Smith family, but relationships take time. Eventually, she lost hope for family bonds and grew envious of my client, which led to extreme actions, even an attempt at suicide. This guy knew how to talk nonsense. It's true I was treated coldly by the Smiths, and feeling low would be understandable, but he didn't know that I wasn't the kind of person anymore who'd be upset over parental favoritism. I have no reason to harm myself, I calmly replied. You're jealous Mom and Dad love me, that's why, Sarah chimed in. I'm not. Yeah, right. I've seen you crying in secret at home. Sarah was hell-bent on convincing everyone I was suicidal, spilling everything. She didn't notice how her words made the Smiths uneasy. I looked at the judge. I was diagnosed with emotional flatness last month. The room erupted in whispers. Everyone looked shocked. Jealousy, envy, sadness. I don't feel these. I have no reaction to how the Smiths treat me. Noah, my lawyer, intervened. Your Honor, we have evidence. The staff quickly brought over my medical report. I lowered my gaze. I got it arranged by Jason yesterday. Anna, why didn't you tell us? Mark was in pieces. You have no feelings? Ha! No feelings. Sarah laughed loudly. Order, the judge commanded. The case was straightforward. Proving I wasn't suicidal basically nailed Sarah for traffic violations. Sarah shot me a venomous look, as if wishing to strangle me right there. In the end, she got sentenced to a year in prison, suspended for a year. Anna, you're really something, she spat. Even if she wouldn't actually serve time, she'd have a record. Compared to her, my parents' expressions were way more complicated. Anna, it's over. Let's put this behind us. Emily harshly tugs at Mom's arm, but Mom kept going. Every family has issues, and now Sarah's been punished. Come home with me. My lawyer pulled out a document. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, this is the cutoff agreement my client prepared. Please review and sign. Anna, what do you mean? Exactly what it says. I don't want to be your daughter anymore. Anna, we can work things out as a family. Let's not make rash decisions. Anna, whatever we've done wrong, we apologize, okay? Sarah grabbed Mom. Mom, why are you doing this? If she wants to sever ties, let her— Shut up, Mark barked. I took off my coat to reveal a backless top. My back was covered in scars. People gasped. Some of these were from a beating after the kidnapping, others from the accident. They all hurt in their own way. Anna, I couldn't care less about their expressions, focusing on the agreement. I've lost emotions, but I still feel pain. These scars ache on rainy days. I don't mind the favoritism or lack of love, but I won't suffer any more for it. I've already signed. Do it quickly. With that, I started packing to leave. Sarah's eyes burned with hatred and a hint of excitement. You realize that without being a Smith, you'll be worthless? The Johnson family won't take you in. I glanced at her. Isn't that what you wanted? Anna, just wait and see. She smiled triumphantly, imagining me as an outcast. Noah went back and forth with the Smiths before Mark decided they'd sign. Noah handed me the documents. There, I've done my duty by your grandparents. Focus on living well now, kid. Holding those light papers felt heavy, grounding me, making freedom possible. I was no one's daughter, just me. Johnson family. Smiths cut off Anna. I've set you up with someone from the White family. Meet her this weekend. Jason's father arranged. Jason frowned. I won't go. I'll marry no one but her. Then you're no son of mine. Fine by me. Jason walked out with a clear handprint on his cheek, but seemed relaxed. How'd it go? Great. The old man kicked me out. I'm free of shares, the company, everything. You can start your plan then. Congrats. I was Jason's legit reason to leave the Johnson family. He had plans to bring them down while seeking vengeance for his mother, who they'd wronged. You're ruthless, I noted. Ever since Jason was a kid, he vowed to avenge his mom by gathering enough evidence to topple the Johnsons. He'd waited 20 long years. Now that Chairman Johnson is getting on in years, he's thinking about leaving him some shares, but he couldn't care less. He's only focused on taking down the Johnson family. What? I'm just an innocent boy who ran away for love, Jason said, rubbing the right side of his face, tilting his head. Did you just laugh? Are you mocking me? No, you must be mistaken. I picked up my glass to hide my smile. You definitely laughed. Boring. Hey, isn't boredom a kind of feeling, right? Get lost. I denied it out loud, but inside I realized I might have shaken off some kind of restraint. All those lost emotions started to come back, bit by bit. In less than a month, the Johnson family crumbled. This giant that had been dominating the city for years suddenly collapsed, taking down a few other big families with it. That included the Smiths. Overnight, the company went bust, factories shut down, houses got auctioned off. Once high and mighty tycoons became no different from regular folks. For ordinary people, it might have been nothing, but for those used to a life of luxury, it was like falling from heaven to hell. Sarah cried, wanting to keep those dresses and bags, and Mrs. Smith couldn't bear it. How about leaving her a few? Mr. Smith seemed 10 years older than a month ago. You think I want to? But if we don't auction these off, what are we going to use to pay the fines? The crippling fines for financial crimes, coupled with the company's bankruptcy, left the Smith family broke, unable to plug the hole. The Johnson family was even worse off, with Jason showing no mercy. Mark disappeared without taking anything with him. No one knew where he went. Before leaving, he sent me a message, just 3 short words, I'm sorry. He got lucky, narrowly escaping the disaster, but luck only goes so far. Because yesterday, Jason found his address. For some reason, Jason seemed to hate the Smith family too. Anna! Sarah spotted me, her voice piercing. What are you doing here, you jinx? Everything changed after you came home. I hate you. I hate you. Why aren't you dead? Mr. and Mrs. Smith hugged her tight, covering her mouth. Their eyes held caution and so many emotions I couldn't decipher. Did you need something? Came to see you all. Mrs. Smith's expression softened a bit. To see her downfall, I finished. Sarah charged at me. Shut up, you witch! She rolled and crawled on the floor towards me, her parents struggling to hold her back. It was the first time I'd seen her in such a pitiful state. Mrs. Smith hesitated for a long time before finally speaking. I know you hate us. She was choking on her tears, unable to finish a sentence. Hate? Before the kidnapping, all I felt was sadness. After the kidnapping, I felt nothing. Now, looking at them, I only felt relief. I was lucky not to grow up in such a family, lucky to have the best grandparents. You all take care of yourselves, I said, turning and getting into the Maybach parked by the road. The Smith family stood there, their eyes filled with complex emotions. Feeling happy? Satisfied? Jason buckled my seatbelt. Man, I guess... He leaned in and kissed me, and now I held up my hand. See this palm? I see it. It's feeling kinda itchy, I said, and my hand was about to come down when Jason grabbed it. You're so aggressive. I kinda liked you better when you had no emotions, no reactions. And now you're resorting to domestic violence, huh? Get lost.